tomato plants because they're raising money for
nice.
film, but they didn't get enough.
We are recording.
Ah,
We're talking about tomato plants. We're
Nailed
talking
it.
about
Sorry.
what the hell happened to JP. He may be buried in the woods.
Buried
There may
in the
have been a
woods.
video earlier in the week. We're not sure. We may have had a duel last night and I prevailed. At any rate, he's not here. So for his one listener, we're sorry. he may or may not return. Just kidding. Okay, so we are going to do a quick little, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Rendezvous with Night Watch, episode, what is this, 7? I don't know. Let's talk about the budget or the lack thereof. So we were promised a better, more transparent, more communicative process this year, and we're not getting it. The agenda for the board meeting on Monday just went out yesterday, or this morning it was posted. There's not a snippet of any budget information, and that meeting is Monday night. So what are your thoughts? How do we feel? Todd?
actually, I have a question. Why was it moved from a Thursday night to a Monday night?
It's a great fucking question, Shauna.
Good
Also,
question.
We
Okay.
do not
also
know.
moved on a PTO night. So PTOs have had to move their meetings around to accommodate or keep them. I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
Julie's going on vacation.
Real quick.
She's overworked. She's very overworked.
What did the state change?
Very overworked.
Can somebody brief me on a state change? Was there a state change?
State did not change. The state produces the state aid numbers on the 4th Tuesday of every February. That has been set for forever. Yes, occasionally are those numbers delayed. Once in a while. I can't recall the last time they were. However, this year they came out, and I think that date was February 28th. I don't have the calendar in front of me. However, I know I asked Todd to speak, but I'm taking over your soapbox. The importance of the state aid numbers is definitely a point you can argue. Personally, I don't think they're that important. Several other neighboring districts have had discussions on their budgets. They've had public budget meetings, and they've had those meetings without the state aid numbers. So if you can recall from last year, what we're going to get on Monday night is going to be probably a glitzy, glammy PowerPoint Google slideshow that gives you an overview of what is being cut, what is being added, what's being allocated left, right, Monday, Tuesday. So it's going to be a very general, like elementary kind of version of the budget. So I don't know why that's something that couldn't have been public earlier, why they're waiting, and when they're actually going to post that to the website. Because as you know, it's going to be the Zoom camera on the screen at the live meeting. So even if you're watching, you're not going to be able to see it.
So all right.
Leo, go.
I like to do comparisons to other towns. And I think we talked a little bit about this before. How are other towns doing it? I think you know a couple. I follow 2 tap intos, Berkeley Heights and Basking Ridge. And they seem to have workshops on their budget there. So I think a little bit about which 2 towns are you been watching? New Providence and which districts?
So Milburn.
Yeah.
Milburn if you go on the Milburn Public Schools website, you go on their district website, it's easy to find. They did a full budget presentation the last week of February. So before they got their state aid numbers. And again, you're not getting an Excel sheet. It's a general, where the cap is, what the increase is, all that. Westfield was actually really interesting. If you go on their district website, it's all laid out there. It's very clear. So they've actually had a series of 5 meetings presented to the public, breaking down each component of the budget and presenting.
5?
Yep, 5 meetings just on the budget. Now, granted, they were not, or at least the way I read those meetings, they were not special kind of public finance meetings. They were part of the board meeting, but each of the last 5 board meetings, their superintendent and their business administrator have produced some sort of their budget in a very user-friendly manner. And now this is now like months before the tentative budget vote happens. And then you're gonna have to wait, put your hand down, John Leo. You're gonna wait till I'm done talking because I'm in charge. of the
Oh, you
emojis.
jeez,
Um,
jeez.
Well,
And
I
then
have a
the-
question.
I have
too, and
more
I'm raising
questions.
my hand.
Simmer down. The other district I looked at was New Providence. And I'm not good with, I can't do that screen share bullshit. Like, you're just gonna have to go look it up and trust me. So, New Providence Board of Ed has an entire budget process timeline that starts as far back as November, and it is detailed to every I being dotted and T being crossed about their process, but they too will host a meeting to unveil their budget before they vote. Shauna, I like you a little bit more, so I'm gonna let you ask your question first.
Wow. I'm out.
When you said they had 5 meetings, this is actually a sidebar, and I'm sorry, but does that mean that they have more than 1 meeting a month?
What? Are you kidding me, Shauna?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Do
But I'm
people have
thinking that
meetings when they need them? Again,
Okay.
I don't know. This was a quick.
Westfield, I'll go look. I'll go
Oh,
look.
here it is. Yeah, so they had a meeting January 17th, February 7th, February 28th, and March 7th.
So
Oh, I'm
that's 2
sorry.
in February,
4. They had 4 meetings. My apologies.
but that's 2 in February, and all of them had a special session for budget, and they allow questions and answers at the end of each of those segments.
Yep.
So does the minutes show that they asked me, they allowed public discussion on those segments?
I have not. I'm reading it right now.
'Cause I'll go look. I have
You
a
can
feeling
go look.
Westfield probably did.
So, I mean, I would be willing to say if it was part of the meeting and it was probably an agenda item that residents were likely allowed to approach not once but twice because it was an agenda item and a citizen hearing. I will look at some of those on YouTube to get a better understanding. But I mean,
We also know that we probably are the only district that has actually shut down public speaking segments to just coming up, asking your question and sitting down. And if you're lucky if you get it.
well,
We have a unique policy. So Westfield probably follows the normal. You can go up, ask a question, get an answer, come back as many times as you want. That's the normal format.
it is normal, and I'll sidebar to that. I have no problem with people getting up twice if there's 4 people at a meeting. But what we saw at the last meeting was we had one of our educators get up and give a 3-minute speech, I guess you can call it. And then for whatever reason, she felt the need to get up again, and she was not interrupted. No one told her to sit down, so she got up and spoke twice. And again, I'm okay with that, but if you're going to have a standard, it should be equitable, and we should not be discriminating people who want to get up twice, or if we are, then it should be across the board. All right,
Yeah,
Todd.
everybody follows the same rules.
Yep.
Easy peasy. Yep.
Todd, let's go. Weigh in.
Oh
This
yeah,
is a
come on.
sham. Process is a sham. It's pathetic, to be honest with you. I think
go.
that, it begs the question, what are they trying to hide? I think we have to ask that as a community, because why not share? And if all these other towns are, and their idea of sharing is after they've already approved a tentative budget, well, I think they try to mask, oh, it's only a tentative budget. But if we go back to even last year, there were very few, if many at all, changes, or certainly they didn't make us aware of any changes that I can recall that transpired after the tentative was approved. And I think I did actually look at the New Providence site and I saw their timeline. It was significant. And it clearly shows in New Providence's timeline that after the tentative is approved, it's immediately sent to the county superintendent. So therefore, once the county superintendent stamps it, again, it's very few changes, if any at all. So their desire to try and mask it to say, well, this is only a tentative budget, I find is ridiculous. I think it's just terrible because end of the day, they know where they're going with this. They know where they want to go with this. But I think we also have to really, really hold them accountable because, we already had a $60 million annual budget. I mean, seriously, like we are not that big of a district. Yes, we have a good size, but that number is significant. And I cannot help but go back to where our business administrator decided to say that we're on this fiscal cliff. Because, you know, where does that get interpreted? And I know there's been a lot of discussion and chatter about that, but end of the day, is she going to fully articulate that to us? Is she going to be able to say, now this is the cuts that I am proposing? Because I know there were a lot of ideas that were floated out there. I mean, it'd sure be great if she started with her own office and cut things, actually did her job, but that's a whole nother thing. And end of the day, literally, like, what are they going to cut? And if it's anything that affects the students, they should be ashamed of themselves. I really think it, especially with the money that we're spending in this town.
And they're already suggesting it's the kid. Didn't they make that suggestion at 2 board meetings ago or 1 board meeting ago? That would be the burdensome part of their budget was special needs, and then it was the new teacher contract. Those are the 2 things that I think Julie Cott identified.
I know. So do they have the balls to actually stand up in front of the town and say that?
The same meeting.
Hear that?
How much the same meeting in which they just signed on a new records custodian.
Oh, yep.
That was the same meeting.
She said we were looking at staffing cuts potentially. And she said when she was talking about, like, she gave examples of, now there are other things in there, but her 2 examples of things that were costing us a lot of money were the new teacher salary increases and special ed. And then the year before, when we did the budget, she had put in there again, like she listed it. It was called a notable expense, and it was a special ed out of district placement. So I'm not crazy about that. The one thing I will say though is that in looking at budgets, salary does take up most of it. So there's very little discretionary funding out of that 60 million. It varies town to town, but there's only a little bit of that where they have any like ability to really cut anything. Administrative costs, they absolutely could and should cut, in my opinion. One of the things, sadly, that is on the table to be cut that's discretionary is athletics, program, all of the things that really impact our kids.
Right.
But they're easy to do away with when your budget's tight. And we are administratively heavy compared to other towns. You did a comparison with New Providence.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lower student load than we do. Or I'm sorry, yes, they do, right? They're less
similar.
Students.
Just
We're
very
within,
slightly
like, 40.
less than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So guys, do you want to play a little game?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Is
All
John
right.
Paul texting you these ideas?
No, I swear. Okay.
Is it
If you
bullshit
don't,
bingo? Because I think we should start doing bullshit bingo.
we can do that next. Okay, if you can guess who are the 3 members of our Board of Ed who are on the Finance and Facilities Committee and who's the alternate. Todd, make a guess. Go.
Angela Penna, Robert Cianciulli, and Joe Young.
Who's the alternate?
Let me think about that. I guess it would be Gail.
It's actually Dipti, but I don't even know if she, I don't know what that means. Like, I doubt she's been involved, but Todd nailed it. So it's like all of our besties are on that committee.
So, wait, but Forger, the walking calculator, they took off of the unbelievable.
So, and it's my understanding that the board committee assignments, if you want to call them, used to be a process. And now I've never clearly been a board member, so I've never been involved in the process, but I've heard several former board members and even some ones that are still there comment that the process used to be more of a collaborative situation where you would kind of sit around in executive session and ask people their interests or where they feel like they would be best suited. And it's my understanding, and all of my bestie board members, if I'm misspeaking, feel free to let me know. It's my understanding this year they were all appointments made by Angela Penna. So, I mean, why would we have Dr. Forger? I believe he holds 3 doctorates in math or something ridiculous. Why would we put him on the budget?
Yeah, it's called a PhD.
Yeah.
I have a question for Angela about why that Dr. Forger's on the finance committee. That's a really good question.
Well, I think you should email her, John Leo.
I might now, because I actually wasn't aware of that. Writing a note down right now.
Yeah, it is the discretion of the board president to be able to appoint individuals to a committee. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe individuals can request to be on a certain committee, but that does not guarantee them that position.
Go to the suggestion bucket.
Exactly. And only
Then
the
gets
suggestions
flushed
that
down
they
the
like
toilet.
come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, it's been a pretty quiet week. So yep,
Another
it's
game?
happening. I'm in charge. So I'm going to find, again, I don't do those fancy side-by-side shots. I don't think, do we speak about the custodian of record email from our #1 super fan, Melissa Varley? I don't think we talked about that.
No,
Okay.
it was posted, but we haven't talked about it.
But let's talk because it's
Did she
so
get the
Okay,
super
let's
fan
juicy.
t-shirt though? I just want to make sure we send that to her.
Does she what?
Did she get the super fan t-shirt? If she needs to
You
get
know
that.
what? I had a problem with printing and production, so it's
Okay.
coming. Okay, so for all yous who don't know what we're talking about, BHCW will send Oprah requests on behalf of ourselves or any person who doesn't want to do it, because I mean, you'll hear from Miss Cott that you're literally taking dollars away from kids and teachers, but you're not. Anyway, she wrote, we got a gem of an email. So I'm going to read the 2 important paragraphs. Talking about the main function of Ms. Cott's job is ensuring our bills are paid, health benefits are paid, employees are paid, we have enough money to run the district, and that student and staff get the resources they need to be successful. What about building thinking classrooms? Are there resources there? I don't know. It's a good
Is
question.
that really true that the business admin is a payroll master, if you will?
So we
Okay,
actually have a
master?
payroll specialist in the business office.
Yeah.
So I do not know I don't know what Julie does, honestly. I don't
So
know what
maybe she just pays bills or likes to think she does, but just everybody else does it around her and she
I think
takes
she
credit for it.
signs, I think she has to sign the bills.
Okay. That's a
Yeah,
big job.
okay.
A lot of
We
time.
have-
A lot of time.
An accounts payable
Um,
person. We have a payroll person. We have, you know how that goes.
We have an ass wiper, a
Yeah,
shoe
we do.
shiner.
It's coming to a school district near you.
So at the end of this paragraph about Julie and her job, Melissa writes, no one takes the BA position to be the Oprah position. And I laughed when I read that because that's literally part of the job. John Leo, go. You look like you're about to-
I want to give you this is emails from who to who.
This is an email from Dr. Varley. She sent to the entire board.
Thank you. That's it. Continue.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So that's an interesting part. And then the real juicy goosey is this part. Ready, y'all?
Ready.
Okay. Just as an FYI, they have Oprah'd all my emails, and when they didn't find anything, they have moved on to board members. Please make sure there is nothing in your email that you do not want public. As our attorney has stated, pick up the phone. How does that make you feel, Todd Nigerian?
Well, it speaks back to right what I was saying earlier about what do they have to hide? Clearly something with that comment. And rather pathetic and very shady. But the fact that she's willing to put that in an email to them just as kind of a head shaker, because she's already saying pick up the phone to all of them, but then takes the time to let them know this in an email. So clearly they just don't have their shit together. And if they do, they're only trying to cover whatever it is that we may or may not know yet. And it's really sad. It's really frustrating, actually, that they feel the need to do that. And for her to say they, that's a very interesting statement, because they, to me, yeah, well, maybe there might be other residents who are actually very interested and just aren't, jumping out on screen. But, they, to me, represents constituents and taxpayers. And they shouldn't forget that they work for us. So we should turn around and say they work for us. We pay their salary.
Work for us. We pay all their
Yeah,
salary. All right, John Leo, go.
I have 2 points. And I will play devil's advocate a little bit here. I think that is very common practice for people to do hush hush stuff and try to keep stuff up in email and other mediums that can be captured in Oprah. For instance, requesting the mayor's attention on a personnel matter. That just happened over the holiday, and then somebody got fired and returned because it was So I think that is a common practice that people try to do. It's not right, but to put it in an email is a step dumber.
It's completely stupid. Can you just we say it?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think that they're identifying they as a minority. We are a minority of parents that are angry and we're opering and costing the school money. I don't think they recognize the fact that where we live, most parents, and we talk to people all the time that do not want to get involved. They do not want to get involved.
Yep.
And we are not a minority. We're a representation of quite a big majority that's paying attention and knows how to do research and finds information. And when we do, we have questions. We only get upset and angry when they don't answer the questions properly. So they're hiding it from a majority, and we're trying to do work with people who don't have the freaking time to pay. Because this is taking more time, and then we have to keep on digging because now they're hiding stuff and in plain view. Apparently, I'm done. I'm moving the soapbox away.
Shauna, any thoughts, remarks, questions?
No, not really. I mean, nothing that I haven't said before 1,000 times. I would seriously. Julie Cott's contract is up at the end of the school year. If we wanted to find a new business administrator, she needs to be given 60 days notice. So it would have to be brought up at either this meeting or the next BOE meeting. What are the chances of that happening? Not good.
Slim to none.
Didn't she come from the district that Varley, I think
No,
she was let go from, or no?
Julie came from Long Hill, and before that, no, I do not think I mean, I wouldn't put it past them that their paths have crossed at some point, but as far as district affiliation, Shauna, you just killed that Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Shit.
Shit is about to get
Yeah,
You're really counting the days towards that 60 notice, huh?
I'm pretending like it's summer. It's summer in my head.
It's totally
That's all right.
wait, John Leo, just can you if we look where John is, it is summer.
Oh,
You're on the wall with
That's my
us
boat.
right now? What are you thinking, dude?
What do you mean? What am I
going
thinking?
outside.
You should have done this outside, John.
I'm an international
Yeah.
correspondent coming to you live.
John is our international
Expected,
correspondent.
expected to see some palm trees, but
I think I got blown over in the last hurricane.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go plant some palm trees.
Of course you are.
Nice.
All right, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
quick
go.
question. Speaking of planting trees, I know there was last year something in place in the township where you could request a tree to be planted in your yard. Is that still ongoing, John Leo?
Yes, you can invite. Are we doing trees, or are we gonna do this another time? I love trees.
No,
No.
it was just a random question. And
Just answer
Okay.
Shauna's question, John.
So you can email the ec@bhtwp.gov, and you can
Can you make it
request-
appear on the screen?
No,
How's that-
I don't have
people
the
just go like
capability to do it. You can do that's. Those are for seedlings. We have the seedling program this year, but Berkeley Heights, I believe their largest grant that they got in history was for the planting of trees, and through that program, we can get you something bigger. That's 2.5 inches. It's a tree that I don't know how tall it'll be, but you can request to have it planted in your yard. You can have it planted in your right of way on the front of your property, and it's 185 trees we have to do over 3 years that we have to plant. It was a $721,000 grant to pay for the contractors to put this in, so people will do the work for you. So we'll have a way for you to request that as well. So you can do seedlings or a 2.5-inch diameter tree. I think that's what the size is.
Amazing.
Thanks.
All right, guys, let's go around and give final thoughts on anything. Township, Board of Ed, your life, what you're having for dinner. Leo, you go first.
Can I drink the water in Belize?
I would not. I think you'll be shitting for like at least 3 days.
I will get back to you in a couple hours.
Okay, Shauna.
My boys are on a scout camping trip in Sitta. I'm planting tomato plants. They will be for sale to the community. We'll have about 300 of them.
Great.
I don't know, around end of April.
You just up the value of what we provide here. Now we're selling tomato. I love where this is going.
We're now going to be providing like goods and services.
What kind of
Well,
tomato
that's-
plants are they, Shauna?
What's that?
What kind of tomato plants are they? Like what
They
variety of
are-
tomato?
They are Big Beef Plus.
Ooh,
So
yeah,
it's a
Big
type
Beef
of
Plus.
It's a beefsteak, but it's not. Oh,
Where'd
low
you
power.
go?
Yeah, my phone is on low power. Sorry. It's a beefsteak tomato, but it's not quite as big as the regular beefsteak. They're less prone to splitting. It's indeterminate, which means they continue to flower, whatever, throughout the course of the summer. And some of the boys from Troop 368 are going to be selling them to raise money for Philmont, which is the Scout Ranch in New Mexico.
Amazing.
I've been to Philmont. It's awesome.
Which has nothing to do with anything. It's a little plug.
Cool.
I don't care. JP's not here. We can do whatever the hell we want. So we are.
There.
Todd, final thoughts, closing remarks.
Final thoughts. I wish the BOE would stop with this shit.
They're not going to. You got to move
It's
on.
just terrible. Like I want them out, like all of them, except the new ones and Mr. Forger, Dr. Forger. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's just like this spin cycle that keeps going, and they think that they're untouchable, and it's just unfortunate. And I wish more community members would pay attention and realize what's going on. Hopefully they do.
I think you being here helps that a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yes. Glad you're here.
I agree.
Speaking of being involved, please come to the budget meeting, people. It's Monday, apparently.
Yeah.
Please
so,
come.
There's also
What's one day?
there's also a district-wide BHPD presentation. I forget the officer who's running it, but it will be at 7:30 p.m. at Hughes in the library. And it will be a presentation on the role of, who the hell is this? Class 3 officers and the SRO officers. It should be about a half an hour. Did somebody just show up? Who's no sleep?
It's
Wow.
Oh, son of a
Wow.
bitch.
Really?
There he is.
Hi, John.
We were just finishing. I
You
was
had the
actually
power to
just
leave him
about
out.
to take a live vote to see if I should take over as host or we should
I'm all
continue.
for that. I'm 100%.
I'm sorry,
did
what?
she-
Let me get
how
my
much-
box of sex toys.
How much did she fuck up? Like, was it bad?
It was pretty bad. But this is the fifth
Yeah.
recording we've done.
Yeah.
No,
it's
the
been
eighth. This
reset
is the
several
eighth.
times.
This is the 8th.
This is gonna be our eighth recording.
we had to keep rebooting today.
Oh, you mean that?
Yeah,
okay.
good-
Yeah,
good
I just
splicing
didn't.
it all together.
Did you guys talk about the budget or anything? I'll watch it later.
Yeah,
All right.
you can watch
tune
it
in.
later.
You mean the
Sai here or no?
No,
Oh.
she never
okay.
showed up.
All
JP?
right.
There's really not a
Um,
lot to talk about with the budget because we haven't seen it. So
Although we talked for about 20 minutes about the budget.
We did.
Even though it's not sent. All right, John Paul, since you're
All right,
here.
that's all right, I got it.
Final
No,
thoughts,
you will
John
stay
Paul,
because
final
I haven't
thoughts.
closed the meeting. Final thoughts on anything.
Final
What'd you
thoughts.
eat for dinner? What'd you order?
I don't know what I'm gonna have for dinner. I'm glad that you guys finally, that this was something that Laura hosted. I think we should probably rotate it, to be honest with you, because I
just
feel like,
think we don't need you anymore.
I mean, you're not the first person to say that to me, Laura.
He'll walk. He's
fact-
he's gonna walk.
I have memories of my mother saying that very. No, I'm kidding. My mom would never say that.
No,
No,
you're
no,
actually
that's-
very good at this.
Let's have a psychology hour.
My final thoughts. I think the budget. There's a lot to talk about. I think that I honestly I feel like we have to keep it on the radar because we want people to show up. I'm not going to be able to be there, ironically, because there's something else I'm doing.
I know. I just plugged it. I just gave you a
Oh,
plug.
good.
for it.
Good.
Done.
But the thing to keep talking about is we're a day away from this shit, and we don't know. Like, we have no idea what's going on other than this fiscal cliff bullshit. People should be really pissed off about this. This is like, how much of our tax dollars are going to this? It's affecting probably the most important priority. The only reason I moved, we pay for these to live in a town like this, is to have our kids go to a decent school and with a responsive district. And that's failing, So that's my feeling. That's the only thing I fucking wanted to say.
All right. Well, you did. So that's great. All
So
right.
let's vote on kicking me off.
All right. Who prefers me over JP as a host? Raise your hand. I know where all you motherfuckers live. So you
Yeah, because he's gonna walk. You're both staying.
I'm ready to, dude.
I'm just kidding. John Paul, I actually think this is like your purpose in life is to host this show.
Agreed.
What amounts
Hands
to a local television program on, like, you ever watch Weird Al UHF? Ever see that movie UHF?
No.
That's what I feel like. He runs a local TV station that's dying. You should watch that, like, rent that movie. That's the movie to watch in next week is UHF with Weird Al Yankovic.
All right,
And that's
I'm not
me.
going to
That's my fucking life right now.
That's your
I
life
feel like
story.
we're more like Airheads. Remember that movie?
I didn't see.
No.
Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen to our mixtape. They hold up a radio station just so they can play their mixtape on the radio so they can get heard.
Like
Speaking
their
of
mixtape of
mixtape-
songs that they made, or songs
Steve
that other.
Buscemi when he's like 29 years old. Oh, he's got long hair. Airheads. I think it was Airheads.
Wait,
yeah.
who's on it?
Steve Buscemi was one of the band members, And then the guy who just made the big return. Who was the big guy? He was in the whale. Who was that?
The fuck are you talking?
Oh, Fraser, the fucking guy, Fraser,
Oh.
Brendan Fraser.
Brent, to be continued.
What?
Okay.
I'll put a clip in there.
Can we make a mixtape? A BHCW mixtape, just of all the bullshit like Varley and Cod and
Best moments.
Pancakes has said
I
over
think we
the
should do
last
best
few.
moments. There's gonna be Shauna like correcting me every 5 minutes about shit that I say. Leo pissing me off. Laura telling me that like I'm lucky to even be with somebody. Like those are all the highlights that run in my fucking head.
Oh my God. All right. This was great. We're right about a 45-minute mark. So let's just,
All right.
no, not even half hour. Done. That's how we do it. Okay.
That's Brendan Fraser, isn't that Brendan
Yeah,
Fraser?
yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Brendan Fraser.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
it's also what's his name's in it?
Oh, the
Sandler?
guy from the golf movie. That's the
Yeah,
same
Happy
movie.
Gilmore.
Happy. The fuck. He's like in every movie. He's the same fucking guy.
Why am I
Oh,
so
yeah,
brain
yeah,
dead
yeah.
with names right now?
Was
It's
it Rob
freaking-
Schneider? No.
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 Who's on Happy
No.
Gilmore?
Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I thought you
Adam
said something
Sandler.
else. Yeah, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
you
has
gotta
the
go.
same fucking movie with this guy every time.
Hey, 51st Dates. He was not the same guy. That was a great movie.
He's the same guy in every. He on First and 51st
He's a
Dates?
funny guy. He's typecasted like Christopher Walken. You don't change it. It works. Am I
It's but it doesn't work with Walken works because Walken is creepy and you could do that in different contexts. Him, I feel like it's the same fucking joke. It's like Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks has the same. It's about his balls. Every movie is about like his balls. Like some joke about balls.
Let's start the next episode with the Christopher Walken Dennis Hopper scene from True Romance. Let's start it with that scene.
I haven't seen that. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh.
Well, sorry. I think I fucked your whole podcast up.
You
Sorry.
completely fucked it up. It was money. This would have been the highest.
If this
grossing-
fails, it's because of me.
That was-
Thank you for that gift. All right, I think we're done. I'm gonna stop recording.
that was awful. Good night.
Does it work?